All right, so I wanted to just jump on and hack a little bit on a Rails app for tracking some followers and maybe just kind of like getting a better sense of why folks are following on Twitter or other social platforms, so I can learn about like what types of content that I'm putting out that is engaging for folks, but also just generally because I think it might be a fun thing to build and a fun thing to show how I think about building it. So um, I think I'm just going to kind of like brainstorm the project here in a Google Doc. I've already done like a little bit, just like a super small amount, showing things that I might want to track per follower or like per user on Twitter. And then probably have like some sort of daily cron job to track followers and then to load those into a database. And so what I wanted to do was just kind of like start hacking on something. If folks have questions, happy to answer those. We're going to be mostly using the Twitter API today, but building a Rails app to ingest some of these data and then also maybe like give us like a little UI to play around with some of the data. So we're going to want to track basically like within the Twitter analytics dashboard, you can see pretty good data about your engagements, and then like a couple things about your followers in aggregate, but you don't really get a good sense of like where are they located? Are they all in the same industry? Are they kind of like roughly from the same companies and things like that? So I wanted to just kind of like get a sense of what the followers look like. And so I thought it might be interesting to build this in public live. So if you want to come and hang out and watch, you're welcome to do so. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of like start hacking away. So Rails new, I don't know, social tracker or something. Database is going to be PostgreSQL. And then are there any new Rails new flags? Let's see. What are all the options for Rails new? Yeah. Rails new dash help. Because I know that we want the database, but there's like a bunch of other like new things that have recently come out. Yeah. We probably don't want turbo links. We do want JavaScript. I think, yeah, so Rails new social tracker database is Postgres, and then skip turbo links. And I think we can also skip tests because we can use RSpec instead of Minitest. All right, so within our Rails app, I think that we want to have just a table of Twitter users and then a table of tweets. And then those tweets will have like metrics associated with them, and the Twitter users, we can sort of build up and track like things that we want about them, but we can add like a couple things on top of what Twitter exposes so that we can start to enrich with our own sort of like categories and things about our followers just to like try to better understand them. So, okay. So this is still spinning up. Rails is still going. I have been reading this book, this awesome book, while that's going. So this is called Work in Public. We are doing a book club about this. If you want to participate in a future book club, hit me up on Twitter at CJAvDev. We'll probably have some spots for future things. Okay, so in the social tracker here, so Rails G model, what are we going to generate? We're going to generate a model. It's going to be called Twitter user, and it's going to have a bunch of stuff that we already talked about here. So like their Twitter ID, that's going to be a string, I think. Name, screen name. I'm going to try to like match pretty much what's in the API for many of these things. URL, followers count, statuses count. Lang profile image URL. Okay, so then these are the ones that I think that I might want to add myself later. So like industry, role. I think role might be odd because we might want to like have an array where they are, maybe they're a software engineer, maybe they're a web developer, but they're also like the CTO of some company, or they're like a technical founder. So that one's kind of up in the air. But for now, we'll just leave it as a, well, Twitter user. Let's come back because we could make like a separate model called a Twitter user role, and we associate those to Twitter users. And then I think primary language and secondary language would be interesting, because I think some folks, yeah, I'm actually like super curious to see what languages in general folks in my audience talk about. And then I guess also, I think we'll probably want some sort of authentication. So you like, maybe you authenticate with your Twitter handle, or like you can log in with Twitter. And so the Twitter users that we pull in might be associated with some user of Social Tracker. That would allow like multiple people to use this. But for now, I'm just going to leave that off, and then we can use like, we can build auth and stuff later. Cool. So that should get us started. And that's going to generate a model. This creates a migration. So it created a database migration, which gives us like the some Ruby DSLs, or some Ruby code that we can write and change the database or the schema that is going to be generated. And then we have a Ruby model Twitter user, which will interact with that with this database. So in here, I think we probably want to make sure this is not null. False, nullable, false. Is that it? Is that how you do it in Rails schema migration? Wow, it's been so long that I've worked in Active Record and in Rails that I've forgotten all the little shortcuts here. Null. Okay, so it's just null, false. Name, screen name, null, false. Location, description, URL, followers count. Okay. Cool. I think this is probably fine. And then we can also add index to Twitter users. We generally want to add indices on things that we're going to look up often. And actually, I'm going to leave this off for now, because when we go back and add authentication later, we probably want to index by the authenticated user to Social Tracker or whatever, and also the Twitter ID or the screen name. So I'm just going to leave off my any indices for now. Actually, one other thing I wanted to check here is that these did get set as integer. Okay. So then we can say rake db create, and this will create our database. I think I have Postgres running up here. Yep, so we should be good to go. And then the next part is to rake db migrate. That will generate our database, or like migrate our database. Yeah, so create creates the database, migrate runs all of your pending migrations. The first migration that we had was to create the Twitter users table. So now there's a table in the database called Twitter users. Okay, so now let's just say, what else do we need to do here? Rails G controller, Twitter users. Okay, so we're going to generate a controller for working with Twitter users. In our routes, we can just use the default resources, Twitter users. If you say rake routes, this will show you all of the routes that you have. And so when we use resources, it actually creates a whole bunch of routes for us. And those are right here. So Twitter users, the Twitter users route, this is a get route for the index of Twitter users. We have a post route to create Twitter users, Twitter user /new for the form to add a new user. We're not going to actually use that. We have an edit, which we probably will use, maybe. I don't know. And we have show pages. We have an update route. Patch and put are I mean, both of these are going to go to the same controller action. So that's cool. And then we have delete. So we are looking good. Let's see. Initial stuff. Okay, let's see. Heroku. Nah, let's wait to push to Heroku. So what we want to do now, we have our controller and it's called Twitter users controller here. And in the index, we want to say like Twitter users is Twitter user.all. And for now, let's call that good. And then let's make a view here, index.html.erb. And it'll be super simple. We'll just have like a h1 tag for Twitter users. And down here, we can have like, we can say, what do we want to do? There should just be like a table, right, of all the followers, maybe. Similar to like your, actually, no, it'd be like this kind of feed, right? Like when you click on followers and it shows you all the people that are following you, right? So we could do something similar to this where it shows their picture and their name and then their handle. So we could do that without, like, basically without the button there. Okay, so maybe we have some sort of like, if this is like the list, Twitter users list. I don't know if we're going to actually style this, but inside of here, we can have, yeah, maybe we have like profile picture. Twitter users dot each do Twitter our user. We want to iterate over the Twitter users and then like do something with them. Actually, like initially, let's just print out their screen name so we can get like something onto the page. Okay. Like, yeah, so if at Twitter users.length or .empty. If it's empty, we can just say like no users found. Okay. So now if we just like fire it up, Rails S. No, that's not going to work. We should be able to browse to localhost 3000 and then let's see, Twitter users should give us a, right now there should be nothing in the database, so we should see empty thing. We didn't, that's okay. If Twitter users.empty. There we go. Okay, beautiful. All right, so let's put a Twitter user in there. So how do we want to do that? Well, I think we might want to have like a background job that fetches users or fetches the Twitter users. So what I would do is say like Rails G job, I think. And we want to call it like fetch Twitter or fetch followers, maybe. Fetch Twitter users. Let's see how this works. Okay, fetch Twitter users job. And this is going to do what? What I want this to do is like maybe given some authenticated user ID, go out and fetch all of the followers. Screen name. It fetches followers for the Twitter user with that screen name. Okay. And how does this actually work? Well, we could put the logic directly here in the fetch Twitter users job, but I think having a separate class for actually fetching the users, like there's a couple different concerns. One is fetching the users. One is putting those deserializing the data we get back from the Twitter API, and then creating Twitter users or updating Twitter users based on that API response. And those could be completely separate concerns. Technically, I think if I was writing this and it was going to be like a more serious application, what I would do is extract this logic into a separate class called fetch Twitter users.rb, and then I would call that from here directly. The reason I would do that is so that I can test the class outside of the job, the context of a job. But to keep things simple, I'm just going to drop it right in here. Let's see. So in order to perform this task, we need to use an authenticated Twitter client. So what I'm thinking is that we might want to create a new concern, maybe, or like just like a new module that can be included that will expose the client. Again, it might be too complex. Let's just like keep it simple. So I'm going to use the Twitter gem file, gem Twitter, bundle install. Oh, that was fast. Cool. And then the client is going to be an instance of the Twitter gem. This SF Eric has created like a super nice Twitter gem that looks like this. And so this is just kind of like what we want to return from here. Is a new instance of the client. And I actually I'll probably memoize this. Yeah, so if we've already called client, then return the same client. Otherwise, get a new client. And this needs to be your consumer key, secret, your access token, et cetera, et cetera. So I am going to populate those API keys by setting them in the Rails credentials. Let's say Twitter creds is rails.application.credentials.dig Twitter, or actually just like I can just pull out Twitter. And then here, these will be like creds, consumer key, and creds consumer secret, and creds access token. Now I haven't actually set these in my Rails credentials yet. Access token secret. So I'll need to go set those, and I will do that sort of off screen here. So I'm gonna grab this, and okay, that didn't. All right. Yeah, so I am going to, let's see. I'm using Rails credentials :edit. This allows you to open up the encrypted credentials file, and I'm setting those keys to be the same as what did we say? Consumer key. Okay, so yeah, so consumer key, consumer secret. It's just a YAML file that gets encrypted. What's really nice about this is that you just have to pass Heroku. You just tell Heroku what your master key is, and then it can decrypt this file and access your API keys and such. Okay, and then I need to actually get those API keys. So consumer key is this thing. Consumer secret is this thing. and then access token is this thing. It was a little bit confusing to me in the Twitter developer dashboard how to get at these API keys. You have to like click a generate button, and it might have been just yesterday the modal like wasn't opening to show me that it created them. It was just saying like regenerated. So I went in today and they were available. So yeah, okay. So those are set. So we should have an instance of a client that we can then like mess around with. So what I want to do is kill this and say Rails console. And then what I can do is create an instance of a fetch users, fetch Twitter users job, and then say like j.client. Okay, and there's my keys. So I guess that was a whole endeavor that didn't really matter. Okay, so I'm gonna have to roll those keys after this anyway. So that's unfortunate, but all right, whatever. So what I wanted to do was see if these are gonna like actually work. So let's play around with these. So J is fetch Twitter users job dot new j.client j.client dot I think it's called followers, and then you pass in your Twitter handle, and then you get back a whole bunch of data. Cool. So that's working. That is super cool. And what do we want to do with this? Well, I think we should be able to iterate over all of the followers here and create Twitter user objects and save them into the database directly. So we can basically just say like client.followers for this screen name dot each do follower, and then just create Twitter user.new. And then we want to like pass in all the stuff for them. So another gem I like is called Annotate. Rake, or let's see, which Annotate. Okay, Annotate. Can I just run it? Let's see. No, wrong thing. Rake, no. Rails Annotate. Okay, let's take a look. Let's find it. Rails Annotate gem. So Annotate is a super nice gem. It can make your models, like it can add comments to your models that tells you which columns are in the model, etc. Yeah, I think this is it. Yeah, this is what we want. So gem install Annotate, and then annotate just the routes. Annotate. Okay. This is kind of interesting. On this Git repo, it has paragraph tags and tags to jump to the top. I like that. It's fun. Okay, so gem install annotate. I wonder, can you also like just install it as like part of the gem file and then have it do it automatically for you? Is this, how many stars does this have? 4 stars. Come on. All right. Annotate models. Is this the one? Okay, so this looks like a different fork that I like more. Into a gem file from GitHub. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I think this looks pretty cool. And we'll just drop it in the development gem file area. All right, let's take a look. So we should be able to just plop it there. Bundle install. And then we can run just annotate. No. Okay, so something else is finding that. Do I have to say like bundle exec annotate, maybe? That seems like it's doing something different. Okay, cool. Nope, I didn't do it. Dash models. Do we have to be explicit? I know there's been like, in my experience, okay, cool, annotated one. In my experience, like sometimes like it'll annotate like a ton of stuff, and sometimes it annotates just a few things. Okay, so here we go. We've got a Twitter user. Now we have like this comment at the top, which is super handy when we're trying to do something like create the, or like pass the arguments to this thing here. So we want to pass in the Twitter ID, and that's going to be follower.id, I think. Name, follower.name, screen name. Location, follower.location, description, followers count. Let's see, language, follower.lang, profile image URL. We've got industry, and this is going to be blank for now. Primary lang is going to be blank for now, and secondary. Okay, so I think, so when we say .new, this will create an instance, but won't actually save it to the database. So at the bottom here, we want to say something like if we can't user.save, then let's like failed to save user. Or Twitter user. And maybe we can put some stuff about them in here. Follower.id. Follower.screen name. And okay, all right, let's see if this works. So we are, when we try to perform fetch Twitter user's job, we're going to pass in a screen name. Generally, that'll be like the authenticated person who's trying to like learn about their followers. And then we're going to use the Twitter API to fetch the followers and put them in the database by saying initialize a new instance of follower of Twitter. And then if they don't save, then print out that we failed to save them. And then also print out user.errors.full messages, just so that we have like a sense of why it failed. Okay, so let's see. Rails C. What is it called again? The job is called this thing. So J is one of these guys. Actually, perform now for cjav dev. Let's see. Hey, look at that. It's doing stuff. They're going into the database. This is so cool. All right. Oh, too many requests. Rate limit exceeded. All right, how many did we get? Twitter user.count. 280. Twitter user.first. All right, well, at least we should have something to look at on this page now. So if we refresh our local host, maybe impatience. Okay, look at that. We've got some follower names. That's cool. All right, so now let's hack around on the client. So I'm going to make this a little smaller, make this a little smaller this way. And what do we want to do here? We want to go back to our Twitter users index thing. And we wanted to make this maybe like, this should probably be like a link to twitter.com/ their username, user.screen name. And does that do what I think it does? Okay, cool. That, I mean, it's like the opposite, but it's close. So the link to is a Rails helper method that is available in views, and its first argument, so this is a method that we're calling here, and the first argument is the content of the link, and then the second argument is the URL that we want to go to, and that'll allow us to like quickly drill into people's handles if we wanted to, which is kind of handy, kind of helpful. So okay, so we've got something to start with. And what else do we want here? We want probably their, let's add maybe their bio, user.bio, or what is it called? Description. See how that looks. Okay. That's kind of gross. Right. Let's see. Yeah, super gross. That's all right. Let's make these divs. Should we make them divs? I don't know. Let's see. Class is a users list element. Let's see. All right, now, like, I don't know why every time I do a live stream, I decide to try CSS. Like, I don't do CSS outside of this. So, you know what? I'm going to just like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it super old school. I'm going to go into application HTML. And I'm going to use Bootstrap because we're working on a Twitter thing. And why not, right? Okay, look at that. Infinitely better. Okay, and then there's like a whole bunch of cool Bootstrap stuff. Like, which version of Bootstrap is this even using? Bootstrap 3. Okay, that's all right. Come on, we can do better than Bootstrap 3. Actually, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let's see. Components. We just want to make it look not horrible. How do we make it look not horrible? Yeah, sure. What else we got here? Okay, yeah, cool. In the root layout, I'm going to put container. I think container fluid is probably fine, right? Yeah, at least it gives us a little bit better spacing. And then, yeah, maybe we do like, yeah, actually that's probably good to go. And see what else we've got here. Using, I don't care about any of that. I want like components where I can do like cards or something. Is there a cards thing? Button groups, input, nav, pagination, labels, badges? No. Jumbotron, thumbs, alerts, progress bars. No, I want like simple, just like simple stuff. Simple stuff. No glyphicons, no drop downs. I just want to do a card. Yeah. If someone would make something as easy to use as Bootstrap, but as cool as Tailwind, I think I would love that. Panel, yeah, sure, panel. Let's no panels. Nah, that's close enough. But is there a list group? List group, yeah, sure, whatever. This is fine. Okay. So how does this work? Class, list group, and then each of these things is like list group item. That get us stuff. Okay. And then inside of here, These should probably be like divs or something. Okay. Refreshing over here. Cool. All right. So at least it's getting warmer. Whatever, like not a huge deal. What I wanted to try to figure out is like, yeah, we want to see some more aggregate metrics on these folks. So if they are, yeah, what industry are they in? So maybe if we add like a little edit button here also, if and this should go to some sort of view. Edit Twitter user path for the user. And when we refresh the page, nope, that didn't work. I got this backwards again. Okay, refreshing the page. Okay, cool. So let's go to make an edit layout here. One, editing this person's screen name. And then we need to update our controller. To have an edit action. And let's see what that looks like. And the edit action will be user.find ID, or no, params ID. The params ID is going to be this little ID here, this number 2. That's going to be passed in as, or accessible via params ID. In this controller, in this edit controller action, we're setting an instance to instance variable of Twitter user to the name of the user. That way, like, or to the model. So we have access to all the variables from the model inside the view. And here we want to do stuff like make it so that we can edit this user. So we want to go back to this edit page. And we probably want to make like a little div with their description again. Actually, this should probably be, yeah. For a second, I thought we might want to make that editable, but we should probably make it like upsert. So if someone is, someone updates their own description on Twitter, we want to just like refetch that user and update their profile. So I don't actually know why, actually don't know why that API call is getting rate limited, because it's not really making that many requests, right? Like we should only be making one request as far as I know. Maybe one of these methods, or maybe all of these methods, are causing like another API request to happen. Yeah, like I wonder if we scroll up here. Actually, no. Yeah, I have a feeling that one of these method calls, like maybe follower count or status count or something, is causing another API request to happen. So I'm going to like just comment those out for a second and try again to make this call. Actually, yeah, let's comment out all of these. Let's comment all of these out. Except ID. Because this should only make one API call, as far as I know, unless this each method is causing pagination to happen. Okay, what is this actually doing? Followers. Okay, client followers in here. If we go to lib, this is such a big thing. Followers. Cursor from response with user. What does that do? Or where's that even from? So let's look for def, that thing. And okay, looks like it's in here. And perform get with cursor. So, yeah, like I wonder if we need to like pass in something that will cause us to like maybe we need to like first get all the follower IDs or something instead of all the followers. So if we initialize an instance of this thing and we say j.client.followers, f dot yeah, hold on a sec. I want to use pry instead of IRB. Should just give us like a little bit better access to jump into things. So now if I say Rails console, I should be using like pry Rails. Yeah, okay. And here I can actually like up arrow and stuff. Okay, let's see. So f equals j.client.followers. Follower IDs, is that a thing? Oh, look at that. That's cool. And then I wonder if I can pass like batches of these at a time or something. But then, okay, so yeah, because I think we want to do like give me all the follower IDs. Does this give us like a lot? How many is here? So f dot IDs, f dot count, 653. Okay, so that should be all the follower IDs. If we make Twitter users for all of those IDs, we can like actually try to find, right? Like if we have an ID here, we can say like Twitter user where or to find by Twitter ID is this thing. And we get back the ID or we get back the user. And if we don't get back the user, like I'm guessing maybe one of these that's like down at the bottom, right? If we do the same thing. And yeah, so we get back nil. In that case, we should probably fetch that user again or something. Yeah, let's do that instead. So I'm going to say follower IDs is client.follower IDs for this screen name. And then for each one, I want to fetch it. Or no, I want to like just see if it's in the database. And if it's in the database, then I'm going to put it in a list to update. And if it's not in the database, then we want to fetch it for the first time. Okay, so if user is Twitter user.find by, Twitter ID is follower ID. If user.nil, new follower IDs, follower ID, else listing follower IDs. We just want to like kind of separate out the follower IDs from those that we know versus those that we don't know. And then we probably need some process of like trying to figure out which of these followers are old and like who we have not fetched recently, and then refetch them, and then which of these followers like just don't exist at all and fetch those immediately. So let's just like for now, let's try to like just make sure that the thing is backfilled completely. So if we say like new follower IDs dot each do, I wonder, yeah, is there like a method in here for fetching several followers by ID? It looks like it takes in skip status, includes user entries. What is this? Returns a cursor. Okay, hash of customizable options. Skip it. Okay, it doesn't look immediately obvious to me how you would list your followers with like a set of multiple IDs. So instead of that, I'm just gonna say, yeah, I'm just gonna say get them one by one, I think, which is gonna be like a completely different endpoint, I think. Let's see. So if we come back over here, client dot methods dot sort. This is one of the ways that I like to sort of explore objects, is by printing their methods minus class dot new dot methods. That just like should remove a lot of the methods that are common across all like Ruby classes, so that you can kind of just get like just the API that's unique to this specific object. So we want to retrieve a user. Is there a user thing? I'm going to keep PQRSTU user. Okay, so if we say j.client.user and we pass in one of these IDs, let's say this one. Okay, cool. So that gets us back a Twitter user. And you can say like t equals underscore, and underscore holds the like return value from the previous method. So that like using this underscore allows you to like not rerun the API call, but instead just kind of like store the result from the previous call into a variable called t. So now I can reference t, and now I can say like t.screen name and t.methods.sort minus class.new.methods, and see all the same methods. And I think, yeah, I think that should give us everything we need. T.follower count. Is this going to make an API call? No. Followers count? No. I mean, that was pretty quick, but did it make an API call? Let's see. User.rb. Okay. Followers count. Yeah, so it's an adder reader. So that should be, let's see, statuses count, followers count, location is a reader, description, email, lang, screen name. Yeah, like all this stuff should be totally fine. Okay. All right, so exit. All right, so now we can say follower ID. And actually, I'm going to reuse this stuff instead. So we want to, follower is client.user follower ID. We're refetching the follower a different way. We're going to uncomment all this stuff. And for now, we're only going to, because we're going to hit another rate limit, I'm sure, because now we're making this API call one per ID. So that's going to be painful in terms of API requests, but because we're just backfilling for now, it is what it is, and it's whatever. So I'm going to just run that again, and hopefully we end up with more than 280. Yeah. So we don't want, like right now as it stands, we don't want to insert any duplicate users, which I don't think we're going to do because of this find by. So if the user, like we're not doing anything with existing follower IDs right now. So I think we should be good to go. But we can just run it, and then if we get unique or if we get duplicates, we can just delete the whole table and then start over. That's fine. Actually, we should be able to say this dot perform now cjav dev. See what happens. Boom, 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 boom. Rate limit at some point. Here it comes. Are we rate limited? Are we getting rate limited? Wow. Maybe this is slow enough that we're not getting rate limited. Let's see. Cool. Hey, that might have, like, did that work? I don't know. Let's see. Something looks like it's timing out or something. It's like paused. It's hanging. That's okay. Let's see. What's up? What is going on here? I guess maybe at the top we could put like how many there are. That would be kind of cool. Up here we can say per users.count. Okay, 334. All right, so I think we may have timed, or maybe we, what's going on here? Are we hanging? No idea. But that's fine. All right, so we are able to fetch more users, and we're backfilling those. That's cool. It looks like we may have just, okay, cool. So we're getting more. We're getting more. That's great. And I don't know why it was hanging. That was odd. 390, 393, 97. I'm like definitely assuming that we're going to hit a point here where we get rate limited, and we're not. So that's pretty cool, I guess. Cool. All right. So yeah, so that is adding more and more as expected. All right. So now, yeah, rather than, I'm almost wondering if this should just be like a table with their location and their description. And what else we got? Location, description, and name. Let's see. Okay. So, hey, look at that. It finished. It finished, and it finished successfully. That's cool. All right. So if we put all of that editing business on this page, it's going to be kind of a pain to like go through and edit all of those. So let's do this. Let's go over here, and what do we want? How do we want the UI to feel for this? Also, like, can we figure out some of these details without having to build it as part of a UI? I'm just going to make this a table. This is like, yeah. I thought that I was going to want like a nicer UI, but I don't think the UI matters. In this case, for scrolling, I want the UI to feel better for like quickly editing and analyzing the data. And yeah, so I don't even care about that. What we want is this to be like not super huge, and then we want like another column here that says something like, is this person a developer or are they technical? User dot is technical. So let's generate a new migration that adds is technical to Twitter users. And I think this might work. It's a Boolean. And it's adding this column and it's Boolean, and we're going to default to false. And then what we want to do is we want to try to derive whether or not this person is technical based on, I think we can do it based on like some stuff they put in their profile. And if that doesn't work, then we can probably like do it based on some others, like maybe some of their tweets, maybe like the most recent 10 tweets, if they refer to something technical, maybe. We can try to figure out if they're technical. So for now, what if we say something like, open up the Rails console and we'll say like, if the description, so Twitter users each do, actually, yeah, no, let's make a method on the Twitter user. Okay. Do they have a technical description? So then we want to say something like, if the description contains, let's see, what would it contain? Sure, CTO. Let's see. Twitter user dot all dot each do what did we call it? Technical description. If they have a technical description, then we want to puts e. Shoot. Twitter user dot all dot each do t. If t dot tech. Shoot. Oh, right. Okay. So what is this string? The not contains includes, maybe? Does it include? There we go. Okay. So let's t if t dot technical description. Oh. Right. Okay. So does that work? Cool. All right. So we've got some people this found. They've got CTO in their title. Let's try to map that and see how many we have roughly. We're going to map. Okay, so we're getting nil. Okay. Description. It's not nil and it includes that stuff. So reload. We want to map it and then say dot select t if t count. There we go. So 8 people. This would opt in 8 folks if they have CEO or CTO in the description. So let's add like a few more cases here and then just call it good for the description. So let's see. So if they say software developer, probably developer is good enough for my followers, or engineer, or full stack probably. Oh yeah, I guess like if they have the avocado, then they're probably developer advocate. Who else do we have here? Space Geek developer, that should catch that. Developer, Pythonista. Maybe we should just like throw in some programming languages: Python, Ruby, .NET, Go, PHP. Maybe we should say D is description to or lower. Downcase, I think maybe. X dot downcase. Cool. And then we could just like make, or maybe, yeah, make all these. Java. Let's see, JavaScript. All right, let's just pick one more. Let's see. Engineering. We've got engineer. That should catch that. Tech. I don't know if I want to say tech because there's a lot of like founders that are in tech. They're like tech founders, but they're not necessarily in engineering or development or let's see. Yeah, we've got Ruby. Okay, mechanical keyboard. That's probably pretty indicative. Just for fun, I'm going to put Vim because sure, why not, right? Okay, so now let's reload. See how many we get. Down case for nil class. Okay. Zero. Oh, yeah, this should be ors. 207. Okay. So the people who are not technical, what did they look like? Okay, so tell me the people who yeah, select. Okay. Is that going to do it? So yeah, okay. All dot select should do it, I think. Okay. So this person, are they technical? How can we find out if they're technical? Okay. So they don't have any description. They do have a YouTube channel, apparently. Not very many tweets, so that's probably a safe one to just like assume is non-technical, just because like there's not very much about them. Let's see this person, Stefan. Okay, so Stefan is, oh, they say geek. Okay, geek. That's probably safe to put in here. I've definitely seen this used as like I'm a software developer, so let me put that little picture there. Okay. Who else? Let's see. Alex Harris has no description. Okay, we're only looking at descriptions right now, so that's probably safe. Global community relations. Okay, but we would catch geek because that's in there. Geekettes. Cool. Okay, DigitalOcean. Very cool. Learn how to do PR, free guides, online courses for marketing pros. Nice. Okay, so that doesn't seem super related to like software engineering. So that's like seems legit. Okay, and then Josh doesn't necessarily have anything about tech in the description. That's cool. Let's see, Jedi Pixels. This one, Flutter. Okay, so Flutter is definitely a technology that I missed. All right, so are there other things that I would have gotten out of this? So, yeah, so maybe there's like stuff that's like part of the profile that would tell me that it's technical or not. So I created that column in the database, but I'm kind of wondering if we want to just use that derived field instead. Yeah, so if we go to, well, like kind of my thought process was that we would add a method called technical description and then technical tweets or something. And then like if they had tweets that had any of the same sort of content, then we would toggle that flag. So like we check their description, then we check their tweets, then we check their, the things that they're liking and retweeting. And that would tell us like if they're technical or non-technical. But for now, this is, well, yeah, because I want to be able to query it. Okay, so yeah. Now I'll just put this technical description. So we have some sense. Dev advocate. Okay. Yeah. So we probably need that, right? Or actually, yeah, coding should definitely be in there. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Okay. Collins stuff, building continuous page. Okay. Yeah. So Collins is definitely, okay. So his has, let's see. Collins does not have any of my words. That would check and tell you that it's technical. The description is technical, but Colin is definitely technical. So I'm surprised by that. Yeah. Okay, so then the other one that I wanted to do is kind of like, are they a business leader, right? So lead developer. Yeah, okay, so that one should be true. So I basically want to look for like where it should have been true, but it's not. Dev advocacy, software eng. Yeah, software should probably be in here. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so it didn't get super far in this, but I'm going to time out and call that good for now. And yeah, so I'm going to deploy to Heroku, set up a little background job. I got to go roll my keys since everyone's seen those or saw those earlier. And yeah, we'll see kind of like where this goes and what this turns into. But my thought and my hope is that I can have like some sort of view of where folks are, a general sense of the languages people are speaking, and the mix of who's technical and non-technical, and then maybe even get down into the weeds of like what programming languages and sort of communities folks are in within these followers. So I'm going to do some more digging and playing, and yeah, hopefully I have some news for you soon. But that is what that's how I'm going to wrap up for today. So hopefully that was useful, and yeah, let me know if you have any questions. All right, cheers.